Hi everyone, Fraser here. Just a quick heads up before we start. This episode talks about suicide, death, and mental health struggles, which some people might find upsetting. If that's something you don't want to hear right now, please take care of yourself and maybe skip this one. And if you're struggling, you're not alone. Support is out there. In the UK, you can call Samaritans on 116 123. Or if you're in America, you can call 988, the Suicide and Crisis Helpline. You can also text that number. If you're elsewhere, please check for a local helpline in your area. Take care, enjoy the show. Hello, welcome back to the most dangerous podcast. I've been trying to remember that lovely little intro you've done on your last couple of episodes, and it's just gone out of my mind. So I'll just say, how are you, James?
It's been so long, I can't even remember what it was. I'll have to go back and listen. I'm all right, yeah, not too bad. But yeah, welcome back to the the B&M of podcasts, as we like to be referred to these days. Yeah, it's been ages, hasn't it?
I know. I was trying to work out. Has it been 3 or 4 weeks?
Been ages for us, but obviously we recorded some in advance, didn't we? So it's not been ages for the listeners. We're back.
How are you feeling?
I'm all right. I was ill last week. I was in bed this time last week with a banging headache. But I'm all right now. Nothing to worry about.
That's good.
I think.
Looking fit. So, James, last week when you weren't about, I did a wee story about a hot dog vendor that made hot dogs out of humans. It was a horrible little story, so you're probably glad you missed it.
No, I gave it a listen. It's great.
Yeah, did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
What bit was your favourite?
The bit at the end.
Cool. This week I've got a slightly darker story. Just a little trigger warning that it's related to suicide. If anyone,
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone's sensitive to that sort of thing, maybe don't give this one a listen. Give it a miss. So
this week, James, we're going to be talking about Aokigahara, which is known as Japan's suicide forest. Have you heard of it?
I've heard about this, yes. People go there and commit suicide, I think, is the gist.
Yeah, that's basically it. But it's not just as simple as that. When I first looked into it, I thought I don't want to just do a podcast about a forest, a place where people go to commit suicide. There's a famous bridge in Scotland. People do it, and it's very uninteresting. But there's actually a backstory to this forest, which I thought was quite interesting. So that's why I've picked it.
Okay. Evil spirits.
Okay. Evil spirits, yeah. There's a horrible backstory to it.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I'm ready to go. If you are, you comfy?
Yeah, comfy enough. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so like I said, you've probably heard of Aokigahara.
Well pronounced. I don't know what you're asking me for. Yeah.
So even if you haven't heard of Aokigahara, you'll have heard of Japan's suicide forest. It's a stretch of woodland at the base of Mount Fuji.
There we go. There it is. Mount Fuji. Yeah, it's beautiful. We've both seen it, haven't we, in real life?
Yes, absolutely.
That's how lucky we are.
Really, isn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this forest has probably one of the grimmest reputations of any place on Earth. It's not a ghost story. There? Possibly not. That is just a picture of Mount Fuji.
All right, okay.
Just trying to give people an idea of what it looks like.
For Mount Fuji?
Yeah, in case anyone's unaware of Mount Fuji.
Okay. Is that...
But it's kind of like that. The forest is like that. It's at the foot of Mount Fuji. That very well might. But
a lot of forests are like that, to be fair.
Yeah, that kind of green sort of look.
Green and trees textured. And stuff.
Yeah. B&M. Yeah, like I said, this isn't like a ghost story. It's not an old folk story like I've done before. It's an absolutely real place where hundreds of people have gone to die. So Aokigahara, it sits at the northwest base of Mount Fuji. It's about 2 hours outside of Tokyo. It's a little bit of a drive. It's not right outside Tokyo.
Yeah.
And from above, obviously, it just looks like a beautiful forest. It's a deep, thick carpet of green spreading out for miles. It covers roughly 30 square kilometers or 12 square miles. So it's not, it's quite obviously a big area of forest. It's not the sort of place you'd want to.
Decent size, yeah. It is a decent size. I mean, you get massive ones, don't you, all over the world? 12 square kilometers, miles, did you say?
12 square miles, yeah.
It's big.
So it's not a place you'd walk the dog through, big forest. And the Japanese call it a jukai, which is the sea of trees. But when you're inside it, you notice something different to a normal forest. The trees grow so densely, and the floor is actually made of like jagged volcanic rock from, obviously, naturally Mount Fuji. And because of the way it grows, it almost absorbs sound, so it's like a soundproof area.
Okay.
Wind doesn't really move through it. Birds don't really nest in the trees because it's so dark and dense once you're in there. And people say that when you walk into it, it's almost like stepping into another world. It's just this deadly silence that's so unnatural.
Creepy.
Yeah, creepy. And even before it gained its reputation for suicide, locals generally just stayed away. Old maps marked it as a dangerous place. And in Japanese culture, where mountains and forests often held spiritual meanings, Aokigahara stood out as a place associated with death.
All right. Okay. So it's like kind of one of these things, isn't it? Like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? If it's associated, it's because it's already associated with death.
Mm-hmm.
But then things happened subsequently, death happened, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, is it the suicide forest because of its reputation?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Whatever. Go on, carry on.
I know what you mean. I mean, did people just venture there because it was creepy in the first place, and then it became a place for suicide?
Yeah, I'll go to the death forest.
Yeah,
because that's the best place to go. Oh, we can't make light of these things, can we?
No, I know. So let's go back a little bit into its ancient history. So long before its modern reputation, the forest was tied to something called ubasute, which was a grim practice centuries ago, where during famines, families who couldn't feed everyone would carry an elderly relative, usually a sick or frail woman, don't know why necessarily a woman, deep into the forest and leave her there to die. So obviously that sounds unthinkable now, but then it was seen as like a desperate act of survival. So if you've got too many mouths to feed, get rid of one.
Yeah, I think that kind of happened quite a lot through history. Mm-hmm. I mean, like Hansel and Gretel, the Grimm tale, that's essentially what happens there, isn't it? And I'm guessing tales like that don't just stem from the imagination of the author all the time. There's probably some element of truth in these sort of things like this. So I reckon that through history, there's been many occasions where, people who are struggling to feed mouths may have just kind of went, well, we'll just drop you off so you can't find your way back, and good luck with everything,
Yeah. You'll find some berries in the forest, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But that sounds brutal, but that happens in nature all the time, doesn't it? You get birds that have got like 5 chicks in the nest and they pick the best 3 and chalk 2 of them out and stuff like that, don't you?
Do they?
Yeah, there's a type of shark that inside the womb there'll maybe be 6 or 7 babies, and the strongest one eats the rest, and then they give birth to one baby shark.
In the womb? In
the womb, yeah.
Really? Brutal.
Yeah, but nature's brutal. You get animals that have got young that are hard work or they've got disability and stuff. They just abandon them, don't they?
Disability.
Well, I
can't. It's not very good at maths. Look at that.
Dyslexic fox.
Not
So the word,
people like, just to be clear, being not very good at maths isn't a disability, by the way. I'm not very good at maths.
No.
But there is a thing, isn't there? You know, like people who are dyslexic,
Yeah,
who like, you know, struggle with sort of words and forming words on pages and things. There's a maths version.
I think it's dyscalculate.
Is that yes?
Possibly.
Yeah, people struggle with with numbers as well. So I only found that out the other day.
Yeah, I know. I know someone close to me that said they just look at a page of numbers and they all just move about. Can't deal with them.
Yeah, it's like similar to being dyslexic, but the maths version.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, what go on?
So ubasute, that word literally means abandoning an old woman. Whether it happened as often as people say it did is debated, but the legend stuck. Like you said, you know, if there's a story, it must have happened. Generally, you know.
They don't. Yeah, rumors start from somewhere, don't they?
Yeah. And the spirits of those abandoned, hungry, confused, and betrayed were said to linger in the forest. Japanese folklore has a very specific kind of ghost for this, a yurei, I think. These aren't peaceful spirits, they're the ones tied to the world by pain or anger, restless and dangerous. And if you ask older locals about Aokigahara, they tell you it's absolutely full of them. So there we go. Before it became a suicide forest, it was a ghost forest.
It was a ghost forest. Don't go there. It's loads of ghosts.
Yeah. Angry old lady ghosts.
They're the worst kind of ghosts.
Definitely, yeah. Do you know I used to have nightmares? Remember Ghostbusters, that horrible one in the library at the start?
At the very beginning, yeah.
Yeah. I used to fast forward past that and then watch the rest of the film.
Yeah, but she seemed all right until they start pissing about.
True, yeah, they did.
She was just reading a book, and then they weighed in, you know, and they're all pissing around, being noisy in the library. Yeah. And then she just goes a bit mad, and I think that's fair enough. You've got to respect the library rules, in my opinion.
That just shows our age that we've started to understand the ghost and Ghostbusters.
She had a point, that's what I'm saying.
She did, yeah. They were making loads of noise. So even now you find people in the villages nearby who won't set foot in the forest once the sun starts to go down. They'll say if you walk too far in, you might hear weeping or catch sight of pale figures between the trees. Just far enough away, you can't be sure if you really saw anything.
So if you'd like to sponsor us to go to this forest...
yeah.
But every episode, it's like, we should go there. People should pay for us to go there so we can go and investigate. I'd spend the night in the forest if someone paid me to.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, you could... yeah, we could do that. We could do like a travel, like Michael Palin, but two of us looking at creepy things.
Yeah, I don't know if I spend... I'd rather... See, I'd spend the night in the forest there, but I wouldn't spend the night in a tent with you. So
true, yeah.
It's a bit of a catch-22 there.
We could get our own tents, and then imagine you wake up, and what I would do is I would wake up before you and I'd remove my tent and everything disappear. And you wake up and go, something's happened to.
Yeah, I won't be able to find my way out. I'd be like one of them old women.
So his modern reputation, so the link to suicide really started in the 20th century. In 1960, a novel came out by Seiko Matsumoto called Nami Noto, Tower of Waves. In it, a couple go to Aokigahara to end their lives together. The book was popular, and the forest became associated with the idea of a romantic death. Around the same time, Japan was seeing a sharp rise in suicide rates, and by the 1990s, Aokigahara was firmly known as the place people went to die.
So do you think it was through the popularity of the book?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, the book is where it seems to start after this book. So is this author of this book responsible for all these hundreds and hundreds of deaths? But
well, no, he's not. Let's be absolutely clear. I just think, because it's such a popular book, people sort of romanticize, if it's such a hard-hitting story, people could think, well, I want to be like the character in the book, or, these things happen, don't they? I wouldn't say the author's responsible for these deaths.
So the numbers, James, are staggering. In some years, over 100 bodies were recovered. In 2003, there were 105 confirmed suicides there in a single year. Authorities eventually stopped publishing the statistics, worried that the forest's reputation was actually encouraging people. But police and volunteers still search every year, and they keep finding more bodies. What's unsettling is not everyone that goes in is found. The forest is so vast and so tangled with undergrowth, it's easy to disappear forever. So this isn't like a 20 or 30. This is like every year. It's like 100 more people.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Quite bad, yeah. Didn't that YouTuber go to this forest? What's his name? Logan Paul, I think. And he,
yeah.
And didn't he film a suicide victim? I'm sure it was this forest.
Yeah, I'm sure it was this forest, and he actually got in trouble from YouTube for posting a video about it. Yeah, he actually went and found a suicide victim and filmed.
And it was definitely in this
forest. Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. There you go. So
wow.
Well, we won't be doing that.
No, we won't go in. I'd go and sleep in the forest, so I wouldn't particularly be looking for someone that's committed suicide.
No.
Yeah. Takes the fun out of it, really, doesn't it? So people who work in recovery teams, they talk about the same sights over and over. They'll find bodies hanging from trees, ropes and belts looped over branches. They'll come across skeletons lying in the moss, clothing still wrapped around them but falling apart. Sometimes it's tents half collapsed, filled with personal belongings, a backpack, bottles of water, packets of food. You can tell the person camped for a few days, working up to the moment that they decided. There are personal details that really stick with you. Wallets left open with ID cards showing, shoes lined up neatly side by side, notes pinned to trees with messages like, "Please don't look for me." There are personal details. Oh. There was one report of a searcher finding a doll nailed to a tree. Its face had been cut and taped over with duct tape, almost like a warning. Even for the people trained for this, it's disturbing. Some say their compasses stopped working, stopped spinning because of the iron in the volcanic rock. Radios cut out, GPS glitches, and many of them admit it feels like the forest itself doesn't want you there.
Oh, this is grim. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Oh,
We've talked about this before, though, is like, do they believe all that stuff because they know that there's death in the forest? Does that make it scary?
Well, yeah, but it's just the idea of it just being like a place where people go just to end it all. I mean, I don't know. It's just doesn't sit very well with me.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? So, whether you believe or not in the paranormal, Aokigahara has plenty of stories that are hard to shake. People describe feeling like the paths shift under their feet. Some say they followed marked trails that seem to loop endlessly, bringing them back to the same spot again and again. When you're lost in there, hours stretch into days. A few survivors have said like it felt like the forest itself was trying to keep them. Then there are the sounds. People hear weeping or a woman crying somewhere in the trees. When they search, nobody's there. Some hear footsteps pacing just behind them, matching their movements, only to turn around and find nothing. Paranormal investigators have gone in with recorders and come back with disturbing results. One team reported picking up a low groaning voice on playback, a man saying, "Why won't it stop?" Another clip caught heavy panicked breathing that hadn't been heard during the recording. Skeptics will say it's the environment or the equipment glitching, but when you hear those clips, they're difficult to dismiss. What would have been really cool if I had a clip now to play and I wasn't that organised.
Yeah. I mean, if there's going to be any sort of, you know my stance on this, but if anywhere is going to be haunted, you'd imagine it's somewhere where there's a lot of pain, and destruction, whether that be personal destruction. So if anywhere is going to be haunted, I would suggest it be this forest.
Yeah, the theory behind ghosts is people that leave the world in tragic or sad circumstances that are still there waiting for things to be resolved, aren't they? And, this is obviously...
Who knows?
Yeah, people that are, not in a great state of mind going into this forest. So there's plenty of visual reports too. Hikers see figures standing ahead in a trail, human-shaped, unmoving, but as they approach, the figure melts away into the trees. Others catch pale shapes drifting at the edges of their vision. Some describe them as white shadows darting low to the ground like animals, but no animals live deep in the forest.
Yeah, they do.
Apparently not in this forest.
Yeah,
Apparently the animals
they do.
don't like it.
They do.
Oh no, of course there'll be animals in there. A few explorers have described hearing their own name whispered in the silence, sometimes in a voice that sounds like someone they knew. One man said he was convinced he kept hearing his wife's voice calling him deeper into the woods, even though she'd been dead for years.
Oh, right, shouldn't laugh. Just thought, I get that sometimes. I'm just out in the shops. Yeah, my bloody partner. It's just, it's one of them, do you get that thing where you feels like your mobile phone's going off in your pocket, like a fancy kind of ring thing? It's similar to that, where I hear it happens. It's happened so many times that it's just kind of like it's sat. Sometimes I just hear it, just a nagging voice from somewhere in the distance.
There was a period in my life I played Roller Coaster Tycoon so much that all day I could hear and then the screams and in my bed at night and everything, and I had to stop playing it for a while.
Yeah, it used to happen that though. Remember GTA 3 or whatever when that first came out. Played that so much, be walking down the street thinking, probably have that car off now.
I could handbrake turn into this car parking space. It'd be fine. So some real cases. See, when you read about Aokigahara in the papers, you usually see the suicide numbers, maybe a line about search teams, but the real stories, the individual cases, are what hit the hardest. These are people who felt like they couldn't carry on, and the details they left behind make the forest feel more like a collection of frozen moments rather than just a stretch of trees. One case that gets mentioned a lot is from the early 2000s. A search team found the remains of a man who had pitched a bright blue tent deep inside the forest. Inside he'd left food wrappers, a diary, and empty bottles. From the diary they pieced together that he'd spent over a week inside the forest, going back and forth about whether to end his life. His notes swung between moments of hope and crushing despair, and at the end there was just silence. He hadn't lasted for long after that final entry. Another story comes from 2002, where a group of volunteers found two bodies hanging just a short distance apart. One of them a middle-aged man, the other a much younger man. There was no clear connection between them, but what unsettled the volunteers was that the ropes had been tied in almost identical knots, as if one had learned from the other or copied what they'd seen. The two men died alone but were strangely linked. Police also talk about finding people who clearly wanted to be discovered, even in death. One businessman was found in a suit, leaning neatly against a tree with his briefcase placed beside him, his ID card displayed in his wallet. Everything about the scene felt organised, deliberate, almost like he wanted whoever found him to know exactly who he was. And then you get the younger cases. A teenager still in his school uniform was found with a bag full of textbooks, homework inside. He'd gone in alone, like so many others, carrying the weight of the pressures most of us can barely imagine. There was no note, just his school bag and the silence of the forest. Couples sometimes go in together. Rescuers have described finding pairs of bodies side by side, sometimes hand in hand. One couple were found surrounded by an empty sake bottle, lying down like they'd simply gone to sleep. Others were discovered with matching notes saying they'd chosen the forest as the place they could finally be together.
This is awful,
So the question, James, is why Aokigahara? Why so many people choose this particular forest? part of it's cultural. Suicide in Japan carries a different historical weight. It was once considered an honorable act under certain circumstances, like samurai committing seppuku. That doesn't mean it's encouraged, but there isn't the same stigma you might find in the West. Then there's the atmosphere of the place. If you've ever seen photos of Aokigahara, you'll notice it feels otherworldly, dense, silent, endless. If you already felt like you wanted to vanish, this is a place that almost swallows you whole. And then there's the reputation itself. People hear about it, they read about it, and it becomes almost like a magnet. If someone is already struggling, they know Aokigahara exists, they know they won't be disturbed, they know others have done the same.
Bloody hell.
Glad to be back doing the podcast.
Well, it's just terrible. It's just terrible, isn't it? That people just feel like they can't do that. Can't carry on, I suppose. And it's to think that it's still kind of happening, and I don't know what to say really. I think, I suppose like now would be a good time to say, well, if people are struggling, there is sort of certain organisations that you can reach out to and things like that, and don't feel like you're alone. I guess that's probably the best thing to say. But what a horrible podcast.
Obviously, if anything in tonight's episode hit you hard, or you're struggling right now thinking about anything like that, obviously reach out. You don't have to carry that on your own. If you're in immediate danger, call your local emergency number. Reaching out for help's the right thing to do. If you've got someone you trust, tell them what you're feeling, and always speak out. Do what you can.
Shit, right. Thanks. Is that it? Are you done? Hopefully
I'm done, yeah. I think that there's a couple of reasons I wanted to do it. It is a horrible story, but it's real and it happens. I'm intrigued as to whether it is just the place to do it there, or whether there is some weird spiritual thing sucking people into this place.
It's almost, I think, before, my thoughts on this. No, it's nothing. I don't think it's anything spiritual or anything like that. It's got a reputation. If you've got your mind set on that sort of thing, then you think, well, that's where everyone does it, so I'll go and do it there. Yeah. Because, like you said, I'm not going to be disturbed, and it's just awful, horrible.
So anyway, that was my podcast on Japan's suicide forest.
Thanks for lightening up my evening.
It's good. It's good to be back.
Yeah, well, I'll try and find something a bit more light-hearted next week. That's really put a downer on me. So yeah, cheers.
Well, that has been the most dangerous podcast. I hope, obviously, no one's been affected by tonight's episode.
I have. Yeah,
I do apologise. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. We'll be back next week. Something a bit chirpier from James, I'm sure. You've got a couple of things up your sleeve, I believe.
Yeah, well, anything's a bit chirpier than that, isn't it? Right, okay. Well, thanks very much. It's good to be back, kind of. It was at the start, and now it's not. But I'm sure we can sort of remedy that next week.
Yes. Thanks, James. Take care.
All right, cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye-bye.